Destiny is a franchise I've been utterly obsessed with for years. Playing Destiny 1 on release when I was around 11 to 12 years old completely blew my mind. I loved the enemy designs, the weapons, the loot system, and I could never seem to pull myself away from the game. As you can probably tell from the title of this video, however, Destiny has not held up forever. For every one step forward Bungie takes, they seem to take another 5 steps back. This wasn't always the case, and there was a time that I looked forward to each and every Destiny expansion with unending anticipation. In this video, I'd like to take a look at Destiny 2, examine the core issues of stagnation, and explain how the seasonal content model is ruining the game. Now, I think it would be the most obvious course of action to first talk about Destiny 2's launch, as it is extremely telling to how Bungie would handle their game over the years. Anyone who played this game on its initial release knows full well how much of a disaster it was. Coming from Destiny 1 and its Age of Triumph, the anticipation for a sequel was higher than ever, and many Destiny fans, including myself, were convinced that Bungie had finally figured it all out. After all, Destiny 1 by the end of its life cycle was a fantastic video game. Unfortunately, we were completely incorrect, and Destiny 2 had one of the worst launches in recent history. The loadout system was reworked to be a double primary system, meaning special weapons were effectively removed from the game. All shotguns, fusions, and snipers would now occupy the heavy weapons slot. This made for an incredibly dry PvP and PvE experience. This new double primary system was by no means helped by the sheer lack of any meaningful content around launch. Thankfully though, the raid we got still had hard mode and they hadn't fully given up on that yet. While Prestige Leviathan was by no means the best experience ever, it was at least refreshing to see slightly tweaked and reworked mechanics from the normal mode. Despite that, only launching with one raid was pretty disappointing to many of us. There were 4 fantastic raiding experiences to be had throughout Destiny 1's life cycle, and I figure many of us found it reasonable to assume the game would launch with more than just one singular raid. Raiding is by no means the most important aspect of the game, but it is my personal favorite, hence why I brought it up first. Strikes were also no stranger to being extremely scarce, with a grand total of 6 strikes being available at launch. Surprisingly, there were actually a decent number of Crucible maps at launch, more than modern Call of Duty games seem to launch with in fact. But due to the watered-down PvP experience and double primary system, PvP wasn't really in a great spot regardless. Either way, I'm sure many of you know all of this stuff by now, but I wanted to briefly go over the launch history of Destiny 2 to highlight the fact that many of the issues that were present back then are still present now. Specifically, the scarcity and lack of content. Fast forward to the modern Destiny 2 experience with the seasonal model and disposable content approach. Destiny is arguably in the worst state it's ever been in, and right now the community has seemingly felt some collective burnout. Starting with Shadowkeep, Bungie decided to tackle a seasonal approach with their content releases. What this meant for the game was 3-month-long seasons featuring a limited time content that would vanish into thin air after the season ended. It really wasn't long after Shadowkeep that people started to take serious issue with this system and the fear of missing out it instilled in its players. Want this cool new weapon we added? Get it quick, because as soon as the seasons end, it'll be gone. The constant FOMO that the seasonal model creates began to burn out many of us Destiny 2 players. Season of Worthy stands out to me as the nail in the coffin for Shadowkeep. I was certain that I would never return to the game after this season, and I seriously planned to leave it behind me. Obviously that wasn't the case, because here I am making this video. Now, the seasonal model was really bad, but I don't think many of us realized how much worse it was going to get over the course of Year 4. With the release of Beyond Light, Bungie decided to implement sunsetting into the game. If you've played any Destiny at all in the last 2 years, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. This was a big deal. Essentially, Bungie decided to place expiration dates on each weapon in Destiny 2, meaning that when the weapon met said expiration date, it would no longer be usable in any current content. By current content, I mean pretty much anything besides Patrol Zones and Quick Play Crucible. Effectively, all the weapons we had grinded for the last 3 years were given an expiration date, sending fear of missing out levels to an all-time high for all Destiny players. even the casual players. Now I've come up with an analogy to illustrate the seasonal content model of Destiny 2. Imagine that this Destiny video you're watching right now were to blow up and bring my small channel a lot of attention. Now, instead of improving at video making and growing my channel authentically, I decide to upload this exact same video every 3 months with slight script revisions, a new title and thumbnail, and slightly different footage. Now imagine each time I upload this video again, I delete the previous version from my channel so nobody can access it anymore, forcing you to then watch the new version of the video whether you prefer it to the old one or not. Imagine now that I also delete all of the other videos on my channel so anyone who likes my content is forced to only watch the piece of content that I deem relevant. What I'm explaining to you right now is a horrendous YouTube idea that would inevitably self-destruct my channel, but this is exactly what Bungie is doing with Destiny 2, and they're completely getting away with it. The difference is, in my analogy, you didn't spend money on my video, but in the case of Destiny 2, many of us did pay for that content, and now we can never access it again until Bungie deems it relevant. The Destiny content vault truly is the biggest kick in the balls of all time when it comes to Destiny 2. The idea that the developers can just take away whatever content they deem irrelevant and we can never access it again, despite having already paid for it. It's pretty obvious that sunsetting was implemented so that Bungie didn't need to spend any dev time balancing old weapons within the meta. Thankfully, the community outcry this decision caused actually made Bungie revert their decision. Well, kind of. Basically what happened is that Bungie decided any weapon that came out after Beyond Light and was not sunset would never be sunset, but anything that was sunset with the release of Beyond Light would stay gone forever. Forever meaning until Bungie decides to charge you $10 for guns you've already had before. The reversion was more like Bungie saying, yeah, we got rid of all of these weapons since we don't want to balance them, but we promise we won't do it again going forward, guys. Yeah, no other game has made me feel more like a clown than Destiny 2, and I honestly can't believe I put up with it for so many years. Now if I decide to hop on Destiny 2, some of my favorite content isn't even playable anymore. Stuff that I already paid for, such as the raids Scourge of the Past and Crown of Sorrow. Some genuinely fun content that I have really fond memories with. Completely lost to Bungie's incompetence and refusal to expand upon Destiny 2, rather than shrinking it. I think it's pretty clear now to most of us that this model exists purely because it provides Bungie the most profit for the smallest amount of effort. Each season they can simply slap a reskinned public event or menagerie clone in there and charge everyone $10 for a battle pass and call it a day. After all, it's only $10, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that $10 is worth a lot more than a shitty half-baked Destiny season, and all of us know this deep down. Now, I understand that in Year 4, Bungie made the decision to allow each season's content to exist within the game 2 seasons after its initial inception. What this means is that the seasons stay around for 9 months as opposed to 3 months. It's still an arbitrary time constraint that exists for no reason but to get you to spend money now instead of later, but I suppose 9 months is still better than 3. What's worse is that the yearly expansions have consistently provided less and less quality content since the split with Activision. Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, and Witch Queen have all felt incredibly shallow when compared to Forsaken and The Taken King. I know many people enjoyed Witch Queen and think of it fondly, but I think the bar has just been set so low for so long now that people are going to hype up anything that isn't a complete pile of shit. After all, Witch Queen's 4-hour-long campaign is a huge improvement from the average 2-hour-long campaign we've been getting for the last 2 years. Perhaps an even more absurd approach from Bungie is the reintegration of content that's already been removed. Remember all these weapons you paid for in Shadowkeep? Well, if you buy the new season, you'll be able to earn them again, and they won't be sunset this time. Isn't that awesome? For the low price of $10, you can re-buy content that you already purchased 2 years ago. Also, we know you guys like raids, so instead of making new ones, we're just going to copy and paste our old, most successful raids into the new game. Now listen, I know many of you probably enjoy these raids and are happy that they brought this content back. Admittedly, I am too, to some degree. I have an immense amount of nostalgia for the King's Fall raid, but my point is that this is a new game, and with it we should receive new content to make new memories. I'm tired of so much of the Destiny community getting all hyped up about returning exotics, strikes, crucible maps, raids, etc. because all it does is reassure Bungie that their predatory monetization and seasonal model is a success. Don't get me wrong here, there's a fine line between bringing back classic content alongside new content and reusing old content as a means to create less new content. While I think Bungie has done some of the former, in many cases it seems to be the latter that motivates them. So even approaching year 6 of Destiny 2, a lack of content is still, somehow always, a glaring issue. Despite the 6 years of experience Bungie has amassed developing Destiny 2, they've decided to put their efforts into min-maxing our wallets and left us with a never-ending drought of content. It's clear that we, the community, are fed up with this drip-fed, half-baked bullshit, and it's time for us to stand up for ourselves. Completing activities in Destiny is no longer about the thrill of experiencing it or the enjoyment of the gameplay, but instead a means to an end in acquiring an item before it disappears. If your content isn't worth playing, simply for the sake of playing it, then my time and money is better invested in other games. Even after all of this time, Destiny still struggles to release innovative and unique content that keeps its players engaged. And mind you, this has nothing to do with Bungie's lack of talent as a dev team. If they wanted to make something unique, creative, innovative, they absolutely could. They have the skill sets, they have the experience, but they see that experience better spent min-maxing our wallets, making these drip-fed garbage seasons that we keep buying. Why would Bungie fix something that to them isn't broken at all? The seasonal content model has caused Destiny to stagnate, and for as long as Bungie treats their content as disposable, so too do we the players feel just as disposable. Bungie has gotten away with far too much for far too long, and we as the community and as the players have the power to make this game better by speaking with our wallets and with our playtime. I know that this video may come off as just a Destiny 2 hate video, but I want you to understand that the hate that I bear for this game now stems solely from the love that once had me logging on every day. I want Destiny 2 to be the best game it can be. I want Destiny 2 to design unique and groundbreaking content. I want Destiny 2 to realize its full potential. The gunplay, the world, the enemy design, the art direction, the community, the music, there is so much to love about Destiny, but in its current state there is even more to hate. Unfortunately, however, nothing will change for as long as we let Bungie get away with this. Laziness, greed, and complacency, we as the community must speak up and push Bungie into tapping in to the unending potential of Destiny 2, lest we be sentenced to an eternity of FOMO and half-baked public events. Admittedly, I have not played Destiny 2 pretty much since the launch of Witch Queen, so perhaps there's been new developments that invalidate some of what I'm saying in this video. If that's the case, feel free to let me know what I'm wrong about in the comments. I understand that the morale of the Destiny community has been at an all-time low of sorts, and I'm hoping with this video I can reach more like-minded Destiny players to be the change we need in the community. Speak with your wallets and with your playtime people, and these developers might actually start to listen. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you liked the video, then drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. We're working our way to 1,000 subscribers, slowly but surely. Now get out there and pray to God that Lightfall is not dog shit.